Hello, this is Mark. Welcome. I'm having tea with our very own Sam. Sam actually has been a very big contributor to our reasonable communities and also has been a big role model to a lot of us. Sam and one of our colleagues, Brian, have completed a program called Career Mojo. And Sam, you want to introduce yourself to everybody and talk a little bit about Career Mojo?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Mark, for having me on again, man. It's a lot of fun to jump on with you, and I appreciate your patience because my life's been a little hectic recently. So I appreciate you recasting me because I think it's a really cool thing to do this. And yeah, I'm Sam Brown. For those of you that don't know, I've been involved with the Reasonable Wealth Chat since its inception. I've been a student of Tom's for a couple of years now through his Udemy courses and even just kind of interacting with him personally. And I've got a lot out of this stuff, and I hope that a lot of people who are in the chats can identify with this because it's really become part of my daily life to really use this in my practice, so to speak, of just trying to be a better person, the art of living. And so, yeah, I've had the privilege of creating a program called Career Mojo with the one and only Mr. Brian Sykes. And it's really about, really that integration of work life. And this is something pretty personal to me because I spent a better portion of the past few years absolutely hating my job. And it just made my whole life stink. And what I began to realize is that it had nothing to do with my job and everything to do with my mentality and how I was approaching work in general. And so, one of the things that Tom always says is find the biggest problem you think you can solve and go solve it. And that's been really inspirational for us. And, for me personally, I think that one of the biggest problems that I see right now is just so many people, they struggle with finding work that fulfills them. And so that's part of our mission is to help people create work right where they are. You can turn the job that you hate into the job that you love just by changing the way that you're looking at things. And eventually that will grow into the job you love. So it's a personal subject for me, and I'm excited to continue to work on that because I have a day job and I enjoy my job, but it's not where I want to spend the majority of my time, but I do spend it with gratitude, and I want to continue to grow this into something where I can do more of this stuff. And so I'm sure that's maybe something that a lot of people can identify with. And I know, Mark does a really awesome job of this stuff, and I definitely see him doing a lot more of this in the future. So.
Thank you very much, Sam. And one thing I want to say that came up as you're talking, which actually I think is very appropriate, is revealing of one's path of service. And can you elaborate that in your own life?
I mean, I think that all of us reach a point to where, the student becomes the teacher, so to speak. And that's one of my favorite quotes that Tom has is, it's not when the student is ready, a teacher will appear. Is when the student's ready, the student becomes the teacher. And I think in a lot of ways, when you reach a certain point to where you've found, you've gotten something out of something like awareness or like the approaching self-mastery, you just eventually you want to share that with other people. And it's not about dogmatizing or this is the way you have to live or this is how it is. It's really just about, I just really want to build my life into a lighthouse on the edge of awareness and just be this beacon of possibility. And those that are interested can come on into Safe Harbor, and those that don't can, peace be with you and ride out. But I think it's really important the more of us we get out there on that edge of where awareness meets the ocean of where most people spend their lives, then it's just going to bring more people into more peaceful bays. And so that's one thing that I think is one of our responsibilities as we begin to gain knowledge and get some traction in our own lives, is to begin to turn around and teach other people how we did that, so that if they can find some nuggets of wisdom in there or take it and turn it into their own blend, and then use that to improve their own lives, because that's what Greater Life for All is really all about. Is, my responsibility is not to change the world, it's just to change me. And if I can do that effectively, then it was going to automatically, some people are going to notice that and hopefully take up that path of mastery as well.
Right on. But in the path of mastery, right?
Mm.
And revealing your purpose or whatever, one has to encounter a certain amount of negativity. And how have you purged your inner negativity in terms of getting to where you have to go?
Mm. That's a great question. And I think that's something that every single one of us have to face alone is how do you peacefully reside with yourself? And some things that have really, really helped me deal with that is the concept of the script really helped me break through a lot of the negative self-talk that I had when I realized that this analogy of that, well, that's not me. That's not what I would choose. That's helped me a lot. And you can certainly find out more information about that from anyone in the chats or from some of Tom's self-mastery programs. Everyday Mind Mastery, I believe, is a real good one for that. But also, you know, I just, even before I came across Tom's stuff, I reached a point where I made a decision that I was going to excommunicate worry from my life. And it's, you know, once I did that and I made it an active goal to not worry, it really helped me free up a lot of the psychic RAM that I was using on a daily basis, just going over all this baloney in my mind. And I'm not here to say that I've mastered, you know, worry. I never worry or anything like that. But it's just when you can, as much as possible, turn off the tap of the negative self-talk and turn on the tap of positive self-talk, it just is so much more of a peaceful and less hurried existence. Because that was one of the things I really ran into in my job, where I felt like I was not making enough money, not working as my potential. I wasn't being, you know, I was much more deserving than that and all that jazz. You know, there was so much negativity in my life that it felt like a really daily struggle. And so by being able to just consciously, slowly ignore worry. And real quick, another thing that I learned is that beliefs are not static. And so I really adopted this belief that every single thing happens to me for my betterment. And I've repeated that so many times to myself that I absolutely believe that. And so it allowed me to turn some pretty scary situations, my career, where my past 2 jobs, I was laid off from both of them. And within 3 days, and this happened over the course of 4 years, within 3 days, I had a better paying job and a better job. And I don't say that to impress. I just say that to let people know that it's possible when you have a family to support, you know, a young child, and you lose a job. You know, when you don't flip out, it makes things go so much more smoothly. And I just, you know, the peace of mind is something that is, to me, is more valuable than almost any amount of money, because if you don't have that, it makes, you know, I just used to feel so hurried, like, oh crap, I'm almost this age, I should be here. Oh crap, I'm, you know, you look around on Facebook or something like that, and you see one of your friends from high school was a gajillionaire, king of the world, and it just makes you feel like crap. And so that sense of hurriness has really been zapped as well. So, and I apologize, Mark, you may have to tell me to shut up, because as you know, we can talk about this stuff for 6 weeks without breathing.
No, I hear you. And I really like your sharing, Sam. It's very helpful. And one thing that, you know, has to be discussed as well is fear.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure in your work, you know, when putting in a Career Mojo, a certain level of fear had to have come up. So why don't you elaborate about your experience with fear?
Yeah, and excuse me real quick. And, you know, fear is something that is inherent in our nature. And it, again, you know, you talk about negative self-talk and positive self-talk. You know, fear is the polar opposite of this joy that is our natural birthright. And so for me, when I consciously began to shut off worry, it you know, the script started throwing up a lot of this, you know, fear action, because those muscles like to be used. But in any case, for launching Career Mojo and getting involved in that, and even over the course of the past year, what I've really been able to do that has helped me a lot is find my voice. Because before this stuff, I would never, you know, I never talked about a lot of this stuff. I've always, you know, ever since my early, my late high school, I've been kind of chasing this anchor, so to speak. So I've read all of the self-help books and, you know, Think and Grow Rich and Tony Robbins and all that stuff. And I really got a lot out of it, but I never really felt like I was implementing it in my life. And so one of the things that this group did was help me find a voice where I used to be, scared out of my mind to post anything in the chats because I was like, oh man. So one of my biggest fears is, alluding to Think and Grow Rich, was the whole fear of criticism, fear. What if I put some of these ideas out there and people say, man, that really sucks. You're an idiot. And so eventually, you just have to go. One of the things that Brian always tells me is start before you're ready. And I think that eliminates that fear germ, because it eliminates the possibility of sitting back and thinking, oh, what if, because there's no momentum in what if. There's no momentum in this obligation of like, let me sit back and think about everything. Momentum only comes from movement. And once you're in motion, it's a lot easier to ignore those fear things, because you have momentum, if there is such a thing in the mental world. So it's, I don't think it's something that you ever completely conquer, but it certainly is an opinion that you listen to a lot less.
So Sam, also one thing that one has to, have also, is having a good degree of self-knowledge and inner awareness. Do you agree with that? Absolutely.
I mean, I think that awareness really is the gateway to all of this stuff. Just the awareness of, thinking a little bit deeper about your life and your relation to the universe. That simple awareness, I think, is such a commodity nowadays, because I spent so much of my life just running around chasing my tail from one side to the other, trying to be successful. And when you develop a certain level of awareness, it's something that I live with every single day. And I really believe that you never can go back. You can't go back into automatic pilot forever and just be like, that awareness stuff, that's baloney. I'm not gonna pay attention to that. So, inner knowledge, I mean, that's one of my life joys and journeys, is to explore the universe in my mind and tell other people about it. I don't see that ever really ending. But at the same time, just the awareness of like, hey, traveling the roads of your inner mind, stop looking outside for all the answers and begin to turn inside, is something that I think is pretty critical to know who you are. Because, like the old adage tells, if once you know yourself, you can never be false to anybody else. And it really is so true. And so for me, it's going to be a lifelong journey that I really want to enjoy the process of it.
So Sam, we're talking about some very good topics here, Well,
it's good questions, Mark.
And we had talked about something beforehand, and you knew what you want to do, right? And you got the pieces together, but you had such a busy schedule with like family, you have kids, newborn, everything like that. But you knew that you had to do what you wanted to do. What was the steps you took to get you on that right track?
Well, I think, and you're absolutely right. One of the things that has been challenging for me recently is just work outside of work. So, what we like to call real work. There's fake work where you spend 8 hours a day, and then there's real work stuff you really want to be doing. And, that's just for me, from my perspective. Certainly work can be real work. It just depends on what you want to do. And so I think one of the challenges was quieting my script enough to not let it get in my head that, oh, you haven't worked tonight, so you're not moving forward and all this other jazz. So certainly just understanding that growth is a process. It's a process from here to there, and you can't just jump. There's incremental steps that have to happen. And so, being involved in the chats has really helped me out. Being on the Reasonable Wealth program, like for example, reading Waddles, one of his, I think one of the best productivity tips you can ever take away is more than fill your place. Have I more than filled my place today with this certain task? And yes, I have. And the other thing that's really helped me is having a partner to work on stuff with. Having Brian out there who's, he never really pushed me to say, hey, when are we going to get this done or whatever, but just the amount of respect I have for him and the process that we're going through, it wanted me I wanted to go do that kind of stuff, even on sometimes when I was tired or whatever. And, to that end, it took us a lot longer to finish the course than anybody would have ever imagined or hoped for. But once you understand that no matter what, it's gonna happen, then it takes away all the stress of having to. Because for me, some big script indicators are have to, I should be, I could be. Those kind of, whenever I hear those kind of words in my mind, I get a little suspicious because I don't want to ever feel rushed or worried. But there is a sense of excitedness that I associate with when you find the direction that you want to go in. So it's just it's the same thing to reading a giant novel. How do you do that? Well, you do it one page at a time.
Sam, what about synchronicity? Does synchronicity ring a bell with you at all?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, for me, it's over the past year, there have been so many things that have externally just verified my belief that absolutely nothing happens by chance. You know, we live in a universe that is dictated by law, and it's been proved to me a lot recently of just cool happenstances coming about. I mean, all of this stuff, Mark, meeting you over the past year, meeting some of the awesome personalities that interact in the chats, to going back to what I said earlier about finding another job within 3 days. That only happened because I randomly, one of my friends suggested I have coffee with a guy who was kind of looking for somebody. We ended up spending 3 months just having morning coffee. And it came, 3 days after I got laid off, he offered me a job. And so I absolutely think that I believe in my core that there is, look around at this universe. My gosh, there is synchronicity everywhere. And it really blows my mind when I begin to think about the scale of how much harmony there is in the universe. I mean, from the very microscopic level to the most massive level you can think of, there's so much harmony. And I just see, right now I really feel a part of that.
One thing that has come up as well as you're talking is healing. And what role has healing had in your life?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, Mark, you're great with these questions. They seem to really jive with some stuff I've been thinking about recently. And, for me, it's the biggest impact that healing's had in my life over the past year is just self-healing, being good to myself, man, because I don't know if you've experienced this, but I'll get really excited about something and I'll be all into it. And then 3 months have gone by and I haven't done anything towards it. And then the little voice comes in, just beating you up. Oh, you suck. You're never going to do this. You're never going to do that. And so one of the things that I've really been practicing is this concept of revising my life, the art of revision. If something didn't go my way, I just kind of think about it like it did. If I fell flat on my face today, I kind of just think about a situation where I didn't. And so it's helped me really just self-heal those wounds that your script tries to inflict upon you to keep you safe. And that's the one thing that I try to remember about the script is its overall intention isn't to destroy you. It's to try and keep you safe because it's, at least my script is terrified of growth because it's the unknown. And so for me, I think one of the biggest impacts healing's had is just turning that healing on myself, because I'm not going to really be able to effectively help or heal or do anything for anybody else until I can really do that for myself. And so, for me, I honestly try to heal my wounds every single day through revision, that's may sound weird, but it seems to work. And that's the cool thing with this stuff is, life is such an experiment and I want to move towards feeling good. And so if I can do something, even if it's pretend in my head, but it makes me feel better, I give it a shot and we'll see what happens. I'll report back.
Wow. Sam, you really helped me out with that question, with that answer. And I really appreciate it,
Yeah.
But, as we're going through this process or whatever, and we're like you said, we got busy schedules, we're doing our jobs and everything like that. And you said like 3 months had gone by where you weren't getting things done and the script is beating you up. And I'm pretty sure some people probably fall the same thing, and they go into self-sabotage. And you cleared through that. Is there a process you go through in terms of clearing yourself?
You know, and again, I think that the biggest, most valuable piece of the puzzle is just not stopping. I mean, it sounds that's like using the definition of a word in its definition, but I think that even if you don't feel like you're growing, and this is something I've really been challenged with recently, is we just welcomed a brand new baby in the world 2 months ago, and so my schedule is pretty filled up when I'm not working, and so a lot of times there'll be nights where I can't work on stuff, and so days will go by, a week will go by, and I'm not really knocking things off of the list of things I want to do. And one of the things that's really helped me get through that particular stuckness feeling is just understanding that the most important thing I can possibly do for myself is to think myself, think in a certain way, if you want to put it in Waddle's terms. And so on those times where I feel like I'm not moving forward, I fall back on my hardcore belief that everything happens to me for a good reason. So for example, if I haven't finished that copy that I want for that landing page that I'm working on, it's probably because I'm waiting for the next little idea to bubble up and help make it even better. So I have that. And also the art of revision, you know, just spending time thinking about that it's already done, you know, and it's really just it's a matter of time before I sit down on the computer and I can bang it out and totally get it done. So again, it's about experimentation and finding things that help me feel better about things, because I think one of the things that a lot of people run into is when the script does throw up some negative self-talk on that movie screen of your mind, and I certainly have done this a ton, is sit back, pull the lazy boy out, and get some popcorn and just sit there and watch over and over again. You suck, you suck, you suck, you suck. And it just makes you feel like crap. And what that does is it takes away your power, it steals your joy, it takes your harmony, it takes away everything. And so right when I feel that movie begin to creep up, I turn the lights on, I'm not watching that stuff right now. And so through revision, I'll throw up some pictures I want to see and just totally make that ish up along as I go. So there's, you know, I certainly, my script won't allow me to say that I'm any sort of example of doing things, because it's not really, I'm not comfortable with that. But I will say that what you feel inside, that passion, that reason, that desire that you want to do something, you know, if it's a real desire, it's not going to go away. It's going to itch you until you get it, until you get it done. And so I really feel like that there's a growth process involved there. You know, and Mark, I don't know if you experienced this, but I want so badly to be a certain place, but you just can't go straight from here to there, because this is an extreme example, but do you know how the statistics of people that have never really had money, and then they win the lottery, and then within like a year they're dead broke again? You know, for me, that analogy really rings true, that it's about your mentality being at a certain point before you really can see those external things come up. And it doesn't mean that you aren't ready for that at a certain level, but for me, it helps comfort me to know that for me, the path of mastery is all about just keeping one foot on the path every single day. You know, as long as even if the mountain seems like it's a cajillion miles away, as long as I turn my face in that direction and take one step forward, if I can just do that every single day, then that's to me, that's ultimate success. Because I know through scientific absoluteness that if I just get 1% better every day, if I get 1% closer to that mountain, then you have to get there. That's one of the reasons why I love Waddle's stuff, though, is because his logic is so right on.
Sam, you really have shared some really great stuff, and actually it's been very helpful to myself as well.
That's great.
And one thing that we touched on a little bit, which I think, you know, can be helpful to a lot of people as well, is boundaries. And I'm pretty sure you have to have set boundaries for different aspects of your life. Can you elaborate more about that?
Yeah, and I guess what you mean is just your attention capital. That's what I think of when I think of boundaries. You know, I only have so much energy and attention of kind of what I focus on. And actually one of the things that we're trying to do through Career Mojo is kind of remove this concept of a firewall between, you know, work and life. There's not this separation. There's not a boundary between those two aspects of yourself. And I think, I just think that some, you know, I have a technical background, so it's a little more easy for me to analytically, okay, this is my family boundary, this is my family cup, this is my work cup, this is my real work cup, and it kind of make these little nice boundaries. But what you begin to see is that there's so many, you show up in these different areas, and so it's a very big blend. And so, you know, for me, the boundaries that I'd really like to be concerned with are those limitations in my own mind. You know, where am I limiting myself? Because those are really the only true boundaries that you'll ever find, is those glass walls in your mind that are holding you from your true potential. And so, you know, let's go looking inside for some boundaries to cross through and grow and expand. And that comes from, you know, really just understanding that you are more at heart than what you are right now. And that moreness has absolutely nothing to do with your past. It was a big one for me too, is like, oh, you've never done this in your past, so how could you do that in your future? And, you know, that's all script speak too. So yeah, man, I want to find the edge of boundaries, or where there are no boundaries, to really push that out as big as possible.
Yeah, because I think boundaries is also, you know, a thing that a lot of us, you know, don't really work on too much.
Mm-hmm.
You get yourself spread out very thin, you know.
Yeah.
So boundaries are important to really consider, you know, because like you have your work life, and then you have your home life, your family life, and if you can't, you know, like you don't really get too productive if you're mixing things up too much, you know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And other aspects of it, if you have a bad day at work, you don't want to bring that home to spoil your family life, because that's and that can be really challenging too, because so much of our work dominates our lives. I mean, we spend people who spend time in you know, an 8-hour, you know, 9-hour a day job spend more time with their coworkers than they do with their family. So it can be really important to have to leave that stuff there, and vice versa. So I see what you mean by that. Absolutely.
This is an awesome cup of tea I'm having over here.
That's great. By the way, what kind of tea is that tonight? Did you already say that?
No, actually, I didn't say it. This is actually a Peruvian tea that my mother-in-law brought me from Peru, and
Dude.
it's called Tranquilo. And my wife says it has this Peruvian tea just to calm me down before you go to bed at night. You know, so that actually is very tasty as well. I wanted to ask you about, because you talked about a little bit before, and you know, about visualization. And I'm pretty sure in getting to where we want to go, visualization is a pretty important, you know, aspect. So can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Man, for 6 weeks without even breathing. And I'm glad you went there, because that's one of the things that I work on a lot, man. And when I'm revising things by I'm visualizing what I want to happen as opposed to what I didn't want to happen. But yeah, absolutely. That's something that I spend a lot of time on. I try to, you know, for me, even though my schedule is pretty crazy, I try to spend, you know, a few minutes right when I get up, and I usually spend about 10 minutes right before I go to sleep. And just, you know, just closing my eyes, just turning off my 5 external senses, and just kind of going inside. I'm certainly wouldn't call myself a really good at meditating, but I do enjoy that aspect of it. And a lot of times I spend time on seeing what I what I want to grow into. It for for your growth, and not only for just becoming something more than you are, but also helping, revise those parts of your character or of your day or of any aspect that is trying to hold you back. Like I said, if I fell flat on my face today, I would visualize that I got a perfect 10 on that dive, and so for me, it really does help me access the feelings that I want to get out of life, because that was something else I really struggled with for a long time too. Well, how the hell can I feel successful if I'm not successful? I've got to have this external verification of success, whether it be money, house, car, relationship, whatever it is. All those externalities, that's not where the feelings reside. They reside inside of me, inside of you, inside of all of us. And so visualizing helps me access those feelings without actually having the externality. And when you visualize, your mind doesn't know the difference. Your subjective mind doesn't know the difference between fake pictures and real pictures. And so it can really accelerate your growth, especially when you mix it with the feelings. When you have a vision, even for tomorrow, but it can also be for a goal, and you visualize from that perspective. To me, that is the real key of bridging the gap between here and there. Because the reason why I set so many goals and completely failed on most of them is because when you think of a goal, you think of a goal. Oh, it's putting it into the sausage machine. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. But when you think from a vision, you're putting it in the sausage machine. I'm here and it feels great. I'm here and it feels great. So visualizing is something that I would encourage all of us to do, and it's one of our most powerful aspects of our being that every single human's endowed with. Everybody can do it. And if it's something, I don't really think like that, just practice it, because your mind is just like any of your muscles. The more you work them, the more they grow and respond. So.
Awesome job. Thank you very much, Sam.
Thank you.
One thing I want to read is this affirmation which you've been talking about since we started. And feel free to elaborate more about it, but I think you did a great job about elaborating about it. So it says in this affirmation, it says, I ask for the revelation of my highest path of service, and I embrace it fully, knowing I am protected from all harm. So I'll say it again. I ask for the revelation of my highest path of service, and I embrace it fully, knowing I'm protected from all harm. That sounds pretty good for you, right?
Yeah, that sounds pretty badass. Can I get a tattoo of that?
Yeah.
No, that's exactly what my ultimate joy would be, to be able to access my highest path, and to like it says, to have the ability to stave off the fear and the worry and those things that would keep you from that. And to be honest with you, I can't think of a bigger definition of success for a human being than to access their highest purpose. And by doing that, you're going to not only help yourself for whatever that means, feeling good or material wealth or any of those things, but you're also gonna save a whole lot of other people around you. And especially now in this interconnected world, Mark, that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about your program getting out there, because I just know that it's gonna just help so many people. And never, it's so amazing to live in this time that we live in, because there's never ever been a time in history where we have the ability to affect change in so many people all over the world, just by doing simple hangouts like this, which cost us absolutely nothing. It really is breathtaking. So that's really cool. In fact, I'd appreciate if you posted that affirmation in the chats, because that's something that I'd like to visualize about.
I definitely will. So I wanted to basically, because ask you to do a favor as well.
Sure.
There's people out there that have a very busy schedule. They have family, they have kids. Their life's kind of chaotic at times, and hey, they want to do something. They want they want to do something different with their life. You know, they have a day job and they have a family and stuff. They're like you. And they're kind of like, I mean, stuck. And they know that they want to do something. And what advice would you give somebody, you know, like somebody that you might know or someone you don't know, you know, and like, what would you tell them? You know, like just
and
tell them about moving forward.
It's so great, because this would literally be the today me telling the like three years ago me. This is the exact advice that I would give them, because that version of me absolutely felt like that. Felt totally stuck, totally not reaching, not doing what I should be, not getting what I deserve, and all this kind of stuff. And the easiest thing you can possibly do to move forward is to start telling yourself you are moving forward. The absolute most critical thing, because when I was in that position, you know, if you're feeling stuck, you're putting, I'm feeling stuck in the sausage machine, and you're gonna get out, you're stuck. I'm feeling stuck. Well, guess what? You're stuck. And so one of the biggest things that I would encourage you to do, and it may sound simple, but it's something you can do immediately, right this second, and all day tomorrow, or however often you can possibly think of it, is just think, man, I'm growing. I'm moving forward. I'm getting a little bit better. I'm getting a little bit better every single hour, every single day. I'm getting a little bit better. And you'd be surprised, even if you did nothing externally, you didn't change, you know, you didn't go read a bunch of books, you're not going to go produce some crazy course. If you only did that, and it'd be just a matter of time before you found yourself doing these activities would actually do move stuff forward. And so I think the biggest gift you can ever give yourself is the gift of a mentality that is expanding. Because when you do that, you access all of your natural powers, and you're really able to do things where it's like, hey, maybe I will read one more chapter before I go to bed. You know, maybe I will brainstorm on this copy for this landing page that I want to do. So I think the biggest piece of advice is that stop feeling stuck. Well, how do you do that? Well, you just stop. You stop putting stuck into the sausage machine. And how do you move forward? You know, find something that is passionate. You know, find a vision that brings you passion every time you think about it, and think about it often. And before you know it, you'll begin to see those signs of like, hey, I'm not stuck. And then a little bit of momentum happens. Oh, cool, I'm not stuck. I'm moving a little bit forward, or I'm moving a little bit forward. Or it could be even as simple as, hey, I used to scream at my 2-year-old because he annoyed the crap out of me, but today I'm not. You know, that's a huge win. And so, you know, for me, finding success isn't just about on this massive scale or anything. I want to feel successful every single day. And so if I can just get a little bit better at even the little things, even if it's doing my laundry more often, you know, something that may be so mundane, but you can derive success from it. Because that's one of the biggest things that I've learned, is that there's nothing outside of me that can give me this feeling that I want. It all comes from inside. And how I arrange the universe of my experience is how I derive meaning from those feelings. And again, you can spend a lifetime doing that stuff. So don't feel stuck, because you're moving a lot faster than you could possibly imagine. I mean, just think about how fast the Earth is zooming through space right now. So it may feel like you're standing still, but you're not.
Wow. Huh. That was a great answer, Sam. That really was. I'm pretty sure you offer some valuable advice to a lot of people. So, you know, we're going to close out the show. And I just want to say, you know, thank you very much for being on again. You've been a great contributor to the communities, and also a great, you know, guest on my show. And, you know, before we go, why don't you tell people how they can find out about this Career Mojo?
Well, it's on Udemy. You can search for Career Mojo, but more importantly, I would encourage you to go get on the Reasonable Wealth chat. And if you don't know how to do that, just post below this video, and Mark or I will tell you how to get involved, because the real mojo from life comes from interacting with like-minded people, and especially, you know, guys like Mark and a lot of other people in the chats. You know, we're all a community of givers there, and true. It's something that it's really blows me away when I watch how much people share, but also how much there's it's such a space of selfless love there that go there first. And then if you want some career mojo, we can certainly talk about that. But I think that one of the biggest things you can do is just get involved in a community where, you know, on the app, I get these little buzzes throughout the day, and I just know something awesome's coming in there. And I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. So I'm really grateful that Tom created this space, because I've never seen a space online that is not negative in some way. I mean, good gracious, go on Twitter or look in the comments below a YouTube video, and you just see the absolute, I don't know where these people are coming from, but you know, what we've done is each one of us has brought to this community a certain something, and it really is special. So go check that out. Start there.
Well, Sam, thank you very much. And you know, this is Mark and T with, and say, you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Everyone, thank you so much. And Mark, really appreciate being on the show. Please have me back, man, because even though I'm super busy, it's one of those things where I just have so much fun, and that I'm like, oh, why didn't I do this 3 months ago? So thank you.